Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. 1. Spike O'Sullivan explains the reason why he decided not to fight Gennady Golovkin on May 5th. Stay tuned. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chats channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working now. Spike O'Sullivan, Gary O'Sullivan, whatever you prefer to call him, he did an interview on Sirius XM Boxing Radio, and he explains why he chose not to fight Golovkin May 5th after weeks of negotiating. This is what he said. Money-wise, it's not a pay-per-view. And that's the fight. The fight's not money-wise, it's not on pay-per-view, and the fight's not worth the money that it should be. They dragged it out for over a week, and we got nothing official. And the money kept on diminishing as well. They made an initial offer. I agreed to. Then they came back with half of that. Right? So he says he's happy to fight Golovkin in the future, but he wants a little bit more notice to properly train and definitely more money. It's better to stick to the plans we have now. I'd love to fight Gennady Golovkin down the road with a bit more notice and more money. I was very excited when asked about the fight. Ken Casey called me and asked me would I take the fight, and I said absolutely. But I think they were looking to get a junior middleweight instead of me looking toward a more safer option. Boom. Listen, Canelo fucked this up. I'm going to keep saying this. The whole, whether he did it, tainted me, whether he was doing something else in training camp, some heinous shit, you know what I mean, trying to cheat. Either way, he fucked this up. I get that. But this, I will say this whole unfolding and revealing of Canelo dropping out and suspended and stuff is really showing me a lot about Triple G's team and the true level of star power within Golovkin. Now, just hear me out. The reason I say that is because you have prime networks like ESPN saying Golovkin is #1 pound for pound, HBO saying he's #1 pound for pound, or top 3. They're saying he's a big star. And I remember even as far back as Golovkin being linked and his name being synonymous with Andre Ward, some people were even saying that Andre Ward's a defined B-side versus Golovkin. This was back then, so this is before Kell Brook, before the Danny Jacobs fight, before the Canelo fight, right? This was quite some time ago. This is years ago when, like I said, when they were talking Ward Triple G talk, right? And they were saying back then that his star power is this and that. And it's been very apparent since Canelo pulled out, since he's been flagged, temporarily suspended, that Golovkin's star power is not what they claimed, right? And the indicators are this. The fight was supposed to initially happen at T-Mobile Arena. Canelo pulls out, boom, they try to go to the MGM, which is the older venue, the older MGM property. Then they try to take Golovkin to the StubHub, which holds 9,000, which is less than, I believe, both the T-Mobile Arena and also the MGM, right? And just look at the options that they've went through. Jaime Munguia, Gary Spike O'Sullivan, and it's apparent that the numbers would be abysmal. Plus, they took him, the Canelo Golovkin obviously would have been on HBO pay-per-view, and they decided that that is scratched. Now, weeks out in front of the fight, we don't even know who Golovkin is truly fighting. It looks like Vanes Martirosyan. He posted something on his Twitter talking about be patient, the time is coming or something. And that's a 154-pounder who hasn't fought since May of 2016. All factual information. So to me, I'm actually surprised. At first, I felt really bad for Golovkin. I still do feel bad for the Canelo situation. But this has revealed a lot to me about Golovkin's team. The other thing, I can't stress this enough, Floyd Mayweather is the boxing guru when it comes to the business and all that. You never seen this happen with his events, all this. And again, I'm not blaming Golovkin for Canelo failing, because obviously Canelo would have been a suitable competitor for any top-level middleweight. He's a good fighter. But boxing, like Floyd always tells you, is about making adjustments. And I think the way Team Triple G's been handling this this Canelo pullout withdrawal is not really in their best interest. It like I said, it showed me personally a lot. Like trying to go from Canelo to Jaime Munguia, right? I have no interest whatsoever in fighting or in seeing Golovkin fight Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. because he's been inactive too. He looked like shit versus Canelo. I don't know what weight he can even make. You know what I mean? So I don't really have any interest. But from a business perspective, that makes more sense on Cinco de Mayo weekend, just based on his lineage, his surname. You know what I mean? That makes more sense than a Jaime Munguia. Why would a Jaime Munguia even be an option for a big potential pay-per-view or whatever they were trying to do for a Vegas fight for Golovkin? You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. And then Spike O'Sullivan, he's saying the money kept getting cut in half. So it's apparent that Golovkin's drawing power is not what they said, because they would be able to probably, just to lure an actual middleweight in the ring, they would be able to come up with some type of money. But HBO, they've been on budget cuts, it feels like, for the last couple of years, and they realized that they need a return on their investment. And for the names that Golovkin is trying to fight, they're not willing to pay top dollar for that. So that's why the money keeps getting cut in half, and you hear guys like Gary Spike O'Sullivan. So to me, I think this was played the wrong way from Team Golovkin. They were better off just scrapping the date, say, hey, Canelo fucked this up. But it made the fact that Golovkin insisted on fighting May 5th, and they're scrambling and going through names and might fight Vanes Matarosen. To me, it would have been better for Golovkin's brand. This is just my opinion. It would have been better for his brand to not fight anybody May 5th. Fight somebody righteous, you know what I mean, a Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade, who keeps saying you're ducking and running and he wants to fight you. Fight a mandatory like Derevyanchenko. Billy Joe Saunders says, I'm not good for May 5th, coming off injury, but I'll be ready by the summer, June, July. That would have made more sense. But the fights that they've mentioned to possibly fighting Vanes Matarosen, I think the way this whole situation was handled was not the correct way. You know what I mean? And if Golovkin gets in there with a 154-pounder who hasn't fought in 2 weeks, I mean 2 years, then that's unheard of. Like I said, look at Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner is coming off of a loss. Golovkin is undefeated and a silver medalist. Broner didn't go to the Olympics. And Broner's coming off a Mikey Garcia loss, right? Where he was embarrassed. You know what I mean? That performance wasn't his best work, obviously. And he was down to fight Omar Figueroa. What does that tell you about Broner? Because Omar Figueroa stylistically would give him trouble. You know what I mean? A volume guy, pressure guy. Not saying Broner can't beat him, but that style has given Broner issue. Now he's fighting Jesse Vargas, confident, veteran, been in there with Pacquiao, Tim Bradley, Josecito Lopez. They have a mutual opponent, Khabib Alikverdiev. And now he's fighting that, which is an equal or greater risk and also a tough fight in this fight week for that. Meanwhile, you have Golovkin, who's supposed to be the destroyer of worlds, and let ESPN and HBO tell it. They're saying this is the, you know what I mean, Conan the Barbarian of the middleweight division, and the opponents haven't been, in my opinion, the opponents that they've really expressed interest and tried to land on haven't been suitable. So to me, just the way it's been handled, I get it, Canelo messed up, but see, this is the thing. Canelo has a proven resume, and you were training for a tough fight. So Derevyanchenko, that's a mandatory, plus he only has like 14 or so fights. He's 14-0, maybe 10 knockouts, something like that, right? So what's wrong with fighting him? He clearly hasn't fought anyone as good as Golovkin as a pro. You know what I mean? So there has to be something in it where Golovkin's team, like Spike O'Sullivan's even saying, they must want to fight a junior middleweight. You know what I mean? Because Spike O'Sullivan says, I think they were looking to get a junior middleweight instead of me looking towards a more safer option. And again, that's what I said. That's what I've been saying before this interview was even done. Because again, how are you going to fight a 21-year-old Jaime Munguia who started his career at like 138, 140s, up to welterweight, and is now a middleweight? Plus, he's 21, so he's young, doesn't have anywhere near the experience to probably go against a silver medalist. You know what I mean? No one's heard of him. Just because he's Mexican doesn't mean he's going to sell on a Mexican-American holiday. right? That's not how that works. When you had guys like Derevyanchenko, Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez, right? Demetrius Andrade, Billy Joe Saunders says he wants it. So the fact that they're waiting to the last minute to promote a fight, like, it just, to me, I'm not understanding K2 why they would do this. You know what I mean? I would have been, if anything, tell Golovkin, I'm sorry, I really apologize, Canelo, but you can't fight until the end of May. We need more time. We got to find somebody. I really, for the life of me, cannot understand why they, even the Gary Spike O'Sullivan, he declined it, and that wasn't even the greatest of fights. But he's a middleweight at the very least. And he beat Antoine Douglas by stoppage. And he fought Chris Eubank, even though he got stopped, and Billy Joe Saunders. So at least that's a middleweight fight. Vanes Martirosyan is an inactive 154-pounder. So to me, there's really not a justification, even on late notice. You know what I mean? That's just, it is what it is. Adjustments happen when that's what comes with this game and business. Brandon Rios, he was supposed to fight Yuriorkis Gamboa. That's a thing. Gamboa didn't show up to the press conference. Fight got canceled. And I think Brandon Rios ended up fighting a very tough fight in Richard Brill. I think that was the replacement. Don't quote me on this, but I know the Gamboa fight fell apart for sure. I know that. And then he ended up fighting because Brandon Rios, you know what I mean, at that time he was doing damage at 135-ish, and he didn't care. He was like, okay, Gamboa, whoever you want, put him in there with me. I'm ready. You know what I mean? Wilder, his fight fell apart. His guy failed a drug test, the Polish fighter, Andrzej Wawłowski, and he ended up fighting an undefeated Gerald Washington, who's an inch shorter than him, athletic, former football player, things like that. So it just doesn't make sense that Golovkin would be looking for a junior middleweight, not even like Jermell Charlo or Jared Hurd junior middleweight, you know what I mean, or Edislandi Lara, who's coming off a law. Like, you're looking for a junior middleweight who hasn't been on the scene. Yes, he's an Olympian, but so is Demetrius Andrade. At least he has a fight at 160. So to me, this is besides Canelo failing, because that's the heat, he got to deal with that. But as far as Team Triple G, I think there's been some errors in what they've been trying to do too, because I really don't see how a Vanes Martirosyan fight is going to be successful. And Tom Loeffler said in an interview, he said there's several reasons we would consider a guy like Vanes Martirosyan. He's showed interest in the fight. Yeah, but a lot of guys have. Lou DiBella showing interest. Derevyanchenko showing interest. Andrade, Billy Joe Saunders, Zurdo Ramirez, all these guys are showing interest. You know what I mean? So that's not a real classy response or reason. And then also, you have his other reason was because he's from LA or he lives in LA. But what does that have to do with anything? You know what I mean? Is he just selling out arenas and stuff? Why was there the whole time he was gone for 2 years, I didn't hear or see anybody making videos or writing articles frequently about when is Vanes Martirosyan coming back. He must return. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like James Kirkland. You don't really hear much chatter about James Kirkland, where he's been. You don't see a ton of people writing articles and making videos. So it's like Golovkin might as well fight him, right? Just a guy who's been on the shelf with a name, somewhat of a name. Let me know how you think Team Golovkin handled this. Again, I told you guys from the jump, they should, as soon as Canelo failed or whatever, I understand that Golovkin did it, wasted a training camp, but if this is the final product that you're going to give for HBO, because the other thing is, I'm doing this for HBO's sake. HBO needs to actually promote a good fight. Like, HBO needs to put something on this year that's competing with Gary Russell Jr. versus Joseph Jojo Diaz. Joseph Jojo Diaz had been fighting on HBO or HBO pay-per-view. He fought on the Ward Sullivan Barrera card. He fought on the Canelo versus Golovkin pay-per-view HBO card. And then now he's over there going to Showtime, letting them reap the benefits, fighting Gary Russell, which is his best test, his big step up for a title against Gary Russell, a guy who's entertaining, fast hands. And that's happening the same night as Adonis Stevenson versus Badu Jack. HBO's very biggest fight, Canelo versus Triple G, has now been canceled. It's now defunct. And now they're talking about Golovkin versus 154-pounder. I mean, HBO, they need to really decide if they want to be in the boxing business anymore, because it's not making sense to put on these types of fights. Andre Ward retired. There's some good fights that he could have made, but he's gone because you didn't take care of him. You know what I mean? So he'll come back, make some money as a commentator or whatnot, but he's not fighting. Then you have Kovalev, who lost to Dre before he left. Triple G clearly is not as big of a star as they meant to say, because there wouldn't be reason to take him off pay-per-view and relocate him to California and all these different things. So it's just, this whole thing's crazy. Plus, Abel Sanchez said in the build-up for the Canelo Triple G rematch that black fighters put on an unpleasing style. I'm sure he's probably thinking like, man, why did I say some of that stuff? Because now I thought black fighters were the ones that have an unpleasing style. Why is it so hard to get Golovkin a fight? And there's guys calling him out. So to me, this is not a good look, just because it'd be one thing if nobody was calling out Golovkin like 4 years ago and he just couldn't get it. But we see that people aren't afraid. Danny Jacobs just said this in a recent interview. Like, I don't think people are avoiding Golovkin at all. People are going after him. You see Jamal Charlo. Danny Jacobs said he wants a rematch. Billy Joe Saunders, who wasn't confident in a Golovkin fight years ago, is now seeming confident and saying, yeah, come on, Golovkin. Canelo moved up and with minimal fights at 160 wants it, right? Even Gary Spike O'Sullivan said he was down, but you can't just keep cutting his money. You can't give him an initial offer and then cut the money and expect him to want to fight a silver medalist who's a big puncher on late notice. On top of that, his money keeps getting sliced. It's just an overall bad look. I'm not trying to see the Vanes Martirosyan fight. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.